Okay, this is quite a short video, just looking at some thoughts about scale practice. I did a video the other day which was discussing scales, but one of the things I wanted to look at in a little bit more detail, which I didn't get time to cover in the other video, was some of the other material that is extremely important to look at when you are studying scales. I think it's true that for a lot of us that when we first start learning scales, we go through a pretty long process of simply playing a scale from the root up to the first or second octave, and that's pretty much all we do with it. And then somehow as improvisers we hope that that practice, doing it like that, is going to produce all these incredible melodies and great lines and things when we play. And I certainly found it didn't. I found that it was good for muscle memory and kind of learning the location of notes on the fretboard, but it didn't make me a better soloist or anything. So I was looking around for a long time for other devices or other approaches to practice, and I had various teachers saying to me things like learn scales and intervals, learn triads, learn the diatonic sevenths that come from a scale, and somehow I was supposed to put all these together. So it's kind of a tall order to do that when you're not quite sure of your own direction with these things. But certainly I did find it useful dividing a scale up into its constituent intervals, playing scales in intervals, and also playing triads and seventh chords, so you really kind of deconstruct the scale and then put it back together again. Now I've got an accompanying sheet which has got a lot of this kind of material written out, and I'll post a link, if I can do that, on YouTube and any other channels that I post this video to, so you can download that. I'll probably do it as a PDF. And I'm not suggesting do every exercise in it every single day, although if you've got the time to do that it would be pretty valuable practice. But certainly over time it's a good idea to go through all the exercises I've got there. I'm just going to focus on some of them in this video. One of the first things, which if you haven't done it before is extremely important, is to play a scale in intervals. And what I mean by that is to pick an interval and to practice the notes of the scales using that interval, that category of interval. So for example, a lot of people probably already play this without even thinking about it, which is playing in thirds, etc. Now it's a relatively easy one to hear, and in that kind of fingering that I'm playing there, standard 2-octave fingering on the guitar, well, the fingering shape is a 2-octave shape, that's relatively easy to play. But there are other intervals. You've got fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths, and also octaves. Very important to do that. Now, I have to admit I didn't do much practice on this when I was a music student, and I should have done. But some years later I realised the value of doing this. And you may have to do it very slow, but the important thing is you are able to play using these intervals with any scale. So for example, if you're playing the thirds pretty quickly, but then go into playing one of the other intervals and it's agonisingly slow, then you know you need to slow down and practice it so it's accurate. So I'm not going to play them all just now for you, it'll take up half the video. But for example, if you go into playing fourths, and you find that's a lot slower, then slow down and get it right first before you start speeding it up. You'll also find that the wider the intervals become, you can be picking across strings, for example sixth, so I'm there having to pick on non-adjacent strings, and some of them can get quite tricky to play technically, but very, very important to do that. And as I say, if you refer to the PDF, you'll see what I'm talking about on manuscript in front of you. I also mentioned earlier triads, very important to practice a scale. What I mean here by triads is the diatonic triads that come from the scale, things like, in the case again of C major, all those kind of exercises. ascending one, descending the next, everything like that. They're all in that PDF, or most of them anyway. Very, very important to play the diatonic 7th chords. Equally important to do. And why do people do this? Well, as improvisers, we never really know exactly what we're going to play next. So what this is doing is it's educating our fingers to be able to go to these note combinations, so that when we get an idea and we're playing on something, we're able to execute it. And it really is as simple as that. If you've practiced this kind of stuff, you're going to be able to use it. If you listen to great saxophone players, for example, their knowledge of all these basic exercises is so much second nature. The stuff just pours out. It just sounds fantastic, and they create great lines. Not just using these techniques, obviously, but you can hear that if someone's done their homework, that this kind of thing is so automatic in their playing, they're not even thinking about it. So if this is kind of new to you, check out the sheet. Maybe pick a couple of exercises at a time and work with them maybe for quite a few days, even a week or so, on one or two exercises, until you can really play them without thinking about them before you move on to the next. And I think you'll find that over a couple of months it will make a very noticeable difference in not only your facility on the instrument, but your ability to execute ideas that are based on these sort of approaches when you're improvising. Anyway, have fun with it.